I mean, once upon a time, if you or I went into a cave 10 or 20,000 years ago, we would be listening because there might be a bear or a tiger or a snake or something in that cave and it's dark. And you better be sure that it's a safe place to be. So hearing was absolutely critical for our survival and for hunting, of course, just as it is for most animals these days. They'll, if you watch a deer or a squirrel eating, their ears are going the whole time. They're listening to what's happening. Well, not so much now. I mean, I see people riding bicycles wearing headphones, and I think,
right,
what a difference. That's just mad. If you can't hear what's around you, it's your primary warning sense taken out, and you can't see what's behind you. Your vision is relatively limited to, 180 degrees. That's just crazy. Even walking around with headphones on is kind of slightly dangerous. There's a name for people who do that, pedestrians. And there's a lot of insurance claims that happen because people just walk out in front of cars and the guy has to slam on the brakes and he gets rear-ended by the person behind him.
Yeah.
And, that kind of thing happens a lot. So taking out your primary warning sense is removing a big connection, I think, with the world and indeed with other people. Headphones, wonderful things. I'm wearing some now, but also very dangerous in that way, in that we are replacing a connection with the world with something very different, with music. And also because many people abuse them volume-wise. And the World Health Organization reckons there are 1 billion, that's 1 billion, young people whose hearing is severely at risk through what they call unsafe listening practices, by which they mean 100 decibels going deep into your ears for hours a day.
Right.
That is kill your hearing.
And I can
far more than going to a loud concert or something.
Yeah, you see it on like the train when you see someone wearing earphones and you can hear their music.
Yeah, that's
the earphones. It's insane, and it happens more often than not. I feel like with people my age, it's insane.
Yeah, well, it's 1 billion people.
Yeah.
I mean, that's we are raising potentially an entire deaf generation. And, it's easy to be blasé about this because, I mean, it's like walking on ice that's being eroded from underneath. You don't really know until you go through it. And then it's too late. There's no recovery for your hearing. There's no treatment that can bring it back once you've flattened those tiny cells in your inner ear with excessive noise. So it is a really big problem. And if you become very hard of hearing or deaf, which you do as you get older. My hearing has degraded. I'm 65 now, and I've lost everything above 12K, roughly, 12 kilohertz. Well, that's, I'm a drummer, and I spent years hitting cymbals, which is very bad for you if you don't wear. I now wear silicon molded earplugs, which reduce the sound by 10 or 15 decibels. So I'm safe. But, there were years when I wasn't. And this is the result. And it's harder to understand people in noisy rooms. That's called the cocktail effect, where you can't distinguish what somebody's saying because of the noise around you. It's frustrating. And if you get to serious hearing loss, it's incredibly isolating and depressing. You can't hear. It's embarrassing. People feel ashamed. They can't hear what people are saying, so they just cut themselves off and they don't socialize so much. They don't go to the parties. They don't go. They don't hang around people they can't understand. And it's depression, anxiety, loneliness are common results. Now that we've got wonderful hearing aids, of course, but again, the research shows that the vast majority of people who need hearing aids won't use them for pride reasons. It's embarrassing, it's shaming, it's some sort of loss of face, which is tragic. So we need to look after these little things on either side of our heads. They are very, very important.
Do we know of any way to heal your hearing if you lose it besides hearing aids? No.
I met a guy. I did a talk at TED Med some years ago in Washington, D.C., and I met a guy there who was starting to work on stem cell research with the view to replacing these tiny little hair cells. I mean, they're not actually hairs, they're cells that look like hairs, and they all respond to different frequencies, which is how you decode what is going on around you. Think about it, these tiny little holes on either side of your head with an eardrum the size of your little fingernail decode everything from Beethoven's Ninth to an explosion to,
Right.
whatever. It's extraordinary that we can do that. And they locate sound around you, of course, and your ears help with your balance also. But these little cells, which are inside, right in your inner ear, in a kind of shell-shaped tiny thing full of fluid, once they get flattened, they can't be regenerated at the moment. Maybe in 10 years, who knows?